A recent New York Times headline says this: a Nebraska teen used pills to end pregnancy and gets 90 days in jail. Well, here we go. This is exactly the kind of problems, the kind of devastating effects the overturning of Roe v. Wade was said to have had, and now we see that it is having that devastating effect. Well, that is unless you go beyond headlines, which I highly encourage today since the media are a bunch of damned liars. And The Guardian actually gives us a much better look at what's going on in this story. Quote, an 18-year-old northeastern Nebraska woman was sentenced on Thursday to 90 days in jail and 2 years of probation for burning and burying a fetus she aborted with her mother's help in a case watched by advocates as a slew of states move to restrict abortion access. Now, before we go any further, you're going to hear the litany of how this is still somehow a travesty for this young girl who burned her baby's body. She was forced to do this because of abortion laws. She was forced to try to cover the fact that she had an abortion. Well, friends, let me just tell you something. Regardless of if that's true or not, you still can't burn a human body, which, by the way, regardless of if you call it a fetus or not, a baby is a human body. You can't burn a body and you can't bury it in the woods. Sorry, not even if you just took an abortion pill and you're trying to hide it. So, yeah, this is a clear-cut case of the media trying to obscure and trying to lie to push an agenda. Surprise, surprise, they're doing it again. This is simply about the way that this girl disposed of this body, regardless of the reason she did it. You know, one time I was pulled over for speeding and I said, "Hey, officer, I didn't see the sign." And he's like, "Well, tough luck, buddy. It's still the speed limit." And it's the same thing here. You can't burn and bury bodies in your backyard. Now, point two. The media wants to blame abortion laws in red states, but they never want to blame the cavalier ways in which they treat sex and minors. Clearly, a 17, 18-year-old girl does not have the mental capacity to fool with the very thing that creates a baby. And no, killing them is not the answer. Now, point three. For the better part of like 30 years, we've been telling people that the real key to trying to help teenagers and unexpected pregnancies and trying to help them understand the responsibility that taking care of a child is, we've told ourselves that the way to do that is by grabbing bananas in your sex ed class and teaching them how to put a condom on. Okay. I think sex ed should be abolished across the United States. I think that's the role of a parent and certainly not the role of the state to try to teach our children. But hopefully by now, even if you disagree with that, you can agree with the fact that sex education classes have actually been a net negative rather than a net positive. What it's done is actually given teenagers an excuse to participate in activity that they do not have the capacity to activate in. Now, this also brings to mind another issue that I think is important to talk about, which is transgenderism. So if a 18-year-old cannot drink alcohol in America, and it takes them until they're 18 to be able to vote and to be able to join the military, then why in God's name do we think a 10-year-old can go on cross-sex hormones? Even if they don't go into the plastic surgeon's office for experimental plastic surgery, what gives us the impression that these kids should be participating in activities that are obviously for adults? The way in which the sexual revolution has taught us we should teach our bodies is incredibly dehumanizing, and this story is proof positive of it. Now, point three. Can we just stop it with parents' rights? Without qualification, at least. I'm all about parents being able to decide how they teach their children in their own home. But when we do this on the right and we just talk about parents' rights but don't put qualifiers on this, looking at you, Asa Hutchison, it sounds dumb. This mother helped her young 17-year-old girl burn the body of her baby. Good job, Grandma. Now, the fact that you say, "my body, my choice," is patently ridiculous in the face of this kind of stuff. Let's just get real. There's some awful parents out there, and moral leaders need to impose their will to offset that bad parenting. Now, point four. Why would you need to burn an aborted fetus? Well, because evil exists. That's it. There's only two reasons. The baby was not aborted and they wanted to cover it up, so they burnt the baby and they just wanted to get rid of the pregnancy. Or two, the person who did this is sick and demented. Let's just be real. There's some awful parents out there, and we need moral leaders to impose their will to offset that bad parenting. Now, point 4. Why would you need to burn an aborted fetus? Well, because evil exists. That's it. There's only two reasons. Maybe the baby wasn't really aborted, and the woman wanted to get rid of the pregnancy, so she burned her baby alive. Or two, yeah, she was maybe trying to cover up the fact that she had an abortion in a state where she wasn't supposed to have one. So she burned her baby's body, which means she's evil. Look, atheists and agnostics are hilarious on this issue. They have all the answers when it comes to goodness. I'm good and I don't need some sky fairy cult to tell me how to be good. When asked from where do you derive what good actually is, they're totally clueless. I'm just good because I choose to be good. Like, what is a woman? They cannot actually answer the question, what is good? Where does good really come from? Of course, they only give you this, one of two things. They give you arbitrary answers for what good actually looks like, and it's totally inconsistent and incoherent, as you'll see in this clip about abortion. A woman wants to say that it's her body, her choice, and a man shouldn't talk about things that don't concern him. Well, Holocaust much?
You're saying because I'm a man, I'm not affected by abortion, I shouldn't have an opinion on it?
Pretty much.
Are you affected in any way by the Holocaust?
Not personally, I'm not.
Do you think the Holocaust is bad?
I do.
So you have an opinion on something that doesn't directly affect you, right?
I actually care about child hunger, but I feed my kids 3 meals a day and sometimes way more than that. And it doesn't actually impact me, child hunger doesn't, but I actually care about it still. So yeah, the way the left and the way non-Christians and non-religious people define good is so arbitrary and incoherent that they have no actual idea why they believe what they believe when it comes to good or how we should define what good is. And this is probably why. Because if they're not defining good in such a arbitrary and ridiculous and incoherent way, they're just simply stealing Christianity's sense of good and then claiming it as their own, like this famous atheist.
What's your moral code? I suppose it's a version of the golden rule.
For those of you listening to the podcast, that was God Delusion author Richard Dawkins and famous new atheist. So you often see people trying to establish good without God, but rarely do you see them grapple with true evil. You know why? Because they have no real antidote for it. The manosphere will tell you, go work out and become a millionaire because you need to stop playing video games. The feminist movement will tell you that men are evil and just get rid of them. And politicians will just point to the other side to cover up all of their corruption. But we all know, not only is your claim to being good ridiculous, it does not solve the problem of evil. Only one thing can. The one who made your soul can clean it and make it right. That's it. Thanks so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the show. If you did, I'd love to hear from you down in the comment section below. If you didn't, thanks for watching at least this far. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and to go with God. So you just got done watching a small excerpt of a much larger episode. You can find the link to that full episode down below in the description of this video. So you definitely want to check that out, because if you like that clip, you'll like the much larger episode. And while you're at it, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and click that little bell to be notified when great new episodes of Indie Thinker come your way. Thanks for watching.